I don't think I know. I don't think I know enough about climate change.
I don't think I know enough. I know that it's all related to the hole in the ozone layer, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really know enough. I know that if we continue to do things as we are, we're in pretty grave danger. But
yeah, well, it's all linked to carbon footprint, isn't it? I think, from what I understand, anyway.
Yeah, well, I think the more not new, but it's like the more recent thing that I've noticed is like the link between meat production and like particularly beef. Because I remember like my kind of primary knowledge of it would be that it was cars and airplanes, and now it's like actually meat consumption and production.
Well, yeah, it's because it's a massive industry.
That's
and
the thing.
have you seen the thing with Shahana?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my god, it's crazy. So he basically does his work, like, well, there's one series of his work where he goes on like Google Earth or like Google Images and like gets like goes over like fields in America where like there's the big industries of like cattle industries and stuff like that, and then puts all these images together. Like he zooms in, I think what he does is zooms in, screenshots them, and then like digitally like stitches them all together so it's massive. And you see the scale, so all these black dots are like all the cows, and then there's a massive like red blob in the middle, which is all like the piss and shit and blood and all that.
Okay.
And you can see how big of a scale it is. And obviously it's just coming from where you can see I think what it is from all the stuff that's being pumped into them to make them bigger, to obviously get more money from them when they're killing them and selling them and whatnot. So it's like hormones and stuff like that.
That's horrible.
It's disgusting.
It's very
and
dark.
then with the laws for Brexit, I think if Brexit is pushed through, at the moment we can't, like, the laws are that we don't import meat from America because it's that bad there. Like how much they just fuck up all the meat and stuff, or all the cows. So if the laws do get pushed through about Brexit, it means that there's more chance that we would import meat from America and eat like all the hormones and
that's bad news.
Gross
That's
things
bad news.
that they put in them. I mean, I'm vegetarian, so I won't anyway. But
I cycle. I've got a car up here, but I cycle when I can.
Oh, nice.
I love cars and I love that kind of, but like motoring, that's quite a passion.
Yeah.
But if I can, I try and avoid using it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drive. I get the bus, but then, I mean, that's all I can really do when it comes to cars and stuff. But I recycle.
Yeah.
Tried to have a compost bin, but that didn't go very well.
Right.
Just because my house makes a twat.
Yeah.
What else do I do? Try and obviously turn lights off where possible, keep everything to a minimum that way.
It's about the smaller things though, isn't it? It's like if you can lead the change by just doing little things.
But when it's what we can do in our own way, so individually, but then I think the biggest problem is big companies.
Yeah. Like
big institutions. And then obviously, like, even when it comes down to like the whole like oil rig problem and like everything like that, it's big companies that are the things that are like
offenders.
Actually, we can all do our own part, but I think it's going to be like being recognised by big companies is the main thing. But there are companies that are starting to do things towards everything. I mean, like even just using recycled products and whatnot. The whole thing with the shops, have you seen zero waste shops? They're coming back around again.
No.
So when I was little, I think before I was born in Nottingham, there was a lot of zero waste shops, but they weren't termed as that. They were just shops with no plastic. So basically, you go in, even like shampoo, conditioners, food, everything, and it's just they're in parts, and then you take like a box or whatever, and there's boxes on the side, and you fill how much you want, and then you pay for how much you want.
I see.
And there's no plastic, there's nothing, and I think shops like that are being brought around again.
The thing that I've noticed is like, because I work in a supermarket back home, is I remember I was doing trolley duty and I was out in the car park and there was trolleys full of plastic and people had just bought stuff and then taken the plastic off everything and just left it in the trolley because they didn't want the kind of blood on their hands as is. But that's a difficult one because then actually that's kind of counterintuitive or counterproductive really, because it actually if that just gets blown out of the car park and into the environment, that's actually
Yeah,
damaging, isn't it? It's like if you go to a zero plastic shop or a waste shop, that makes sense, but if you're buying it from a main supermarket, that's...
Yeah. I was watching a programme the other day about supermarkets and plastic, and they were saying about how, like, with a lot of fruit and veg, it isn't necessary to put plastic on, but then with some, it's going to extend, like, the shelf life. So, like, with I think it's cucumbers.
Yeah.
If they didn't have plastic on, that they would go off in like a day or two.
Yeah.
But then it's just whether or not you're willing to just have a bit of a shitty, not as nice food, but just to save the planet. It's like not. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal.
No.
Well, it's the case of like the whole, like everything on the planet all works in a cycle, doesn't it? And if we don't have a lot of species, then it just means that we're going to die out as a species. Like bees, for example, we need bees to pollinate. So
it works. It works.
Well, yeah, exactly. And
as soon as you take out,
we're ruining that, then
you have missing links, and then the system doesn't work anymore.
And I saw the other day that giraffes have gone onto the endangered species list. Like you would never have thought it, but like even things that we just class as like normal animals that we don't think are going to go extinct. But then that's probably more down to poaching, isn't it?
But still, if you plead ignorance about the kind of the effects on smaller, less less influential, less important species or kind of animals, then you're ignorant to the fact that actually when one thing changes, everything changes with the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
You know, it impacts everything. There's a knock-on effect.
And like, like the thing about pesticides, that really pisses me off. Like pesticides being sprayed all over crops and stuff, especially like in like the mass farming of crops and things like that. So pesticides are obviously killing off loads of bees, loads of insects, which means nothing's getting pollinated, which means we can't have trees, we can't have things. Like, it's just an endless cycle of just destruction.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Is she the 16-year-old?
Yeah.
I don't know much about her. I just saw there was a bit of hype that she was very young and very active or proactive.
Yeah, I've heard a few of like bits of her speeches, and she seems amazing. Like she's so with it.
Thing is, I'm not normally like one for like social media hype or things like that. But then I suppose if she's having an impact in getting younger people,
I'm all for it.
Motivated,
if it's down to like positive change. But then you've obviously got the complete opposite of that. People that like the Kardashians and stuff that are just the reason why we shouldn't have social media. But no, that's like, it's really good, positive change. I mean, she's influencing a lot of people. But then there's been like old politicians that are still really kind of not up for changing anything, not up for like the discussion on climate change. And they have been like, oh, she doesn't really know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like...
That's unreasonable.
Yeah, just because she's young, so she's been getting a lot of negativity. But I've not been. I would like to.
I've not been either. But I think that's partly because where I live, it would be, you'd have to travel quite a way to get to one. And then as much as that would actually be good, that would also be kind of negative for the environment if I was travelling low. I mean, not that that's really a good excuse, but I've not been, no.
There was one not long ago, I think, here.
Was there?
Yeah. We kind of find it a bit funny, really, because I think what they were doing, they were stopping the buses and like stopping traffic because they were in the road, and it was a bit contradictory because if you're stopping the traffic when the buses are still on, they're still running.
Yeah.
Isn't it just?
I mean, it raises awareness, but it's also like,
I think
it's more a complex matter than just stopping a couple of buses.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Don't be a fool.
Don't be an idiot.
It's like
just look into facts, look into factual evidence, and just actually read about it, not just don't just join the hype of well, it's not hot outside, so...
if you don't believe in climate change, you're living in a lie. Like, it will affect you, it will affect your family, it will affect generations to come.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to have children and you want the best for them, then start putting in effort to do what you can do to change.
Exactly.
And influence other people, try and educate other people that don't do what they should be doing. I've taught my housemates to recycle properly, taught them about composting, about turning the taps off properly, turning the lights off. I mean, they don't do it, but yeah, education's good.